I am Rabbi Miriam Goldstein. I am 60 years old, and before I tell you anything else today, I want you to do one thing right now. Go to the comments below and type the words, "I accept my wealth." Write it, declare it, because what I am about to share with you is not just information, it is an activation, and I want you ready to receive it. Now, let me ask you something honest. Have you ever stood in a store or sat in a dealership or looked at a listing online and felt that pull? That feeling that said, "This is it, this is the one," and then you bought it, or signed for it, or charged it, and 3 months later you were looking at that thing, that car, that furniture, that house, that investment, and you were not happy. You were drained. You were stressed. Something about it felt wrong, but you could not explain why, because in the moment the decision had felt so right. I have sat across from hundreds of families in 40 years of ministry and financial counseling, and this one pattern has broken more households than any recession, any job loss, any unexpected bill. It is the pattern of buying before you pause. There is a principle in Torah that Jewish families have practiced for thousands of years, a specific ritual, a specific pause. That happens the night before any major financial decision. Banks do not teach it. Financial advisors do not mention it. But the families who practice it consistently, faithfully, they are the ones who build wealth that stays. And today I am going to teach it to you. Let me tell you what it is and where it comes from. I grew up in a traditional Jewish household in Brooklyn, New York. My father was a tailor. My mother kept the home and helped manage the finances. We were not wealthy, but we were never in trouble. And one of the things I noticed very early, even as a child, was that my parents never made a big decision quickly. I remember being maybe 9 or 10 years old. We needed a new refrigerator. The old one had broken. My mother had already picked out the one she wanted. She knew the price. We had the money. And still, my father said, "We will sleep on it." I remember thinking, what is there to sleep on? You already know what you want. We already have the money. Why are we waiting? He saw the look on my face, and he said something I have never forgotten. He said, "Miriam, a decision made under desire is not a decision. It is a surrender." I did not fully understand that at 9 years old, but I have spent the last 50 years learning exactly what he meant. You see, my parents were practicing something ancient, something that comes directly from Torah. And the name of this principle, the name I use when I teach it in my community and on this channel, is what I call the Laila Habachira, the night of choosing. It is rooted in the book of Proverbs, chapter 21, verse 5. The Torah tells us, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit, but the plans of the hasty lead only to poverty. The Hebrew word for hasty there is ach. It means rushed, impulsive, driven by the moment. And Torah places it in direct opposition to charus, the diligent, the one who thinks carefully, who prepares, who takes the sacred pause before acting. This is not superstition. This is not religious ceremony disconnected from real life. This is a financial strategy embedded inside a spiritual discipline. And the Jewish families who have practiced it for generations have understood something that modern consumer culture has worked very hard to make you forget. Your feelings at the moment of desire are not your wisdom. They are your appetite. Let me tell you about a man I will call Benjamin. He came to me about 12 years ago. He was a business owner, successful, hard-working, a good man. He had built a small distribution company over about 15 years. It was stable. It was growing slowly. His family was comfortable. And then one afternoon, he walked into a showroom. He was not even looking to buy. He had driven past the lot on his way to a meeting, and something caught his eye. He stopped. He walked in, and within 3 hours he had signed papers on a piece of commercial real estate, a building he believed would double as office space and as a rental investment. He called me 2 days later, not to celebrate. He called me because something felt wrong, and he could not name it. I asked him one question. I said, "Benjamin, did you sleep on it?" There was a pause on the phone. Then he said, "No, I signed the same day." I said, "Did you pray over it? Did you review your full financial picture before you signed? Did you ask your wife? Did you sit quietly and let the desire settle before you made the decision?" He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Miriam, I felt so certain. I felt like if I waited, someone else would take it. That feeling, that urgency, that I have to decide right now or I will lose it. That is the oldest trick in the world. The salesperson knows it, the advertiser knows it, the lender knows it, and they use it because it works. It bypasses your judgment. It takes your desire and converts it into action before your wisdom has a chance to speak. Benjamin's building turned out to be in a flood zone. His inspector had missed it. The rental income he projected never materialized because the zoning would not allow the kind of tenants he had planned for. Within 2 years, he had spent nearly $90,000 trying to make that investment work. He eventually sold it at a significant loss. I tell you this not to shame Benjamin. Benjamin is a smart man. Benjamin was simply never taught the night of choosing. Here is what this practice actually looks like. Here is how it has been passed down in Jewish homes for generations. The night before any major purchase, any financial commitment that will significantly affect your household, your savings, your future, you do not go to bed as you normally would. You sit down. You open your finances. You write down the full picture, not just the purchase price. You write down what comes after, the maintenance, the taxes, the insurance, the opportunity cost. What else could that money do if you kept it? You write it all down by hand because the act of writing forces clarity that reading a screen does not. Then you ask 3 questions. These 3 questions come from the wisdom of Proverbs and from Talmudic teaching on sound judgment. The first question is, does this serve my family's future, or does it serve my present feeling? There is a teaching in Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers, that says a person should always ask, who is rich? And the answer given is, one who is satisfied with his portion. Satisfaction with your portion does not mean you never grow or never acquire. It means you acquire from a place of settled wisdom, not from a place of restless wanting. The second question is, am I being rushed? Because Torah teaches clearly that haste is the companion of poverty, and patience is the companion of abundance. If someone is pressuring you to decide today, that pressure is not your friend. It is their need, not yours. And you are not obligated to serve their urgency at the cost of your own discernment. The third question is, have I spoken this decision out loud to someone I trust? In Proverbs 11:14, Torah tells us, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors there is safety. The word used there for safety is Yeshua. It is the same root as salvation. Good counsel before a major financial decision is not weakness, it is protection. It is practical safety. You ask these 3 questions, you write the answers, and then you sleep. In the morning, before you look at your phone, before you check anything, you sit quietly for 10 minutes. You pray if that is your practice. You sit in silence if it is not. And you listen, not to the excitement of yesterday, not to the fear of losing the deal. You listen for what is calm and settled inside you. Because Elijah did not encounter God in the wind or in the fire or in the earthquake, he encountered God in the still, small voice. And your truest financial wisdom lives in that same still, small voice, not in the noise of the moment. If after that quiet morning you still feel peaceful and clear about the decision, then you move forward. But if something in you is uncertain, if something pulls back, you do not silence it. You honor it, because that hesitation is not fear. That hesitation is intelligence. I want to tell you about my own experience with this practice, because I did not always follow it perfectly. About 20 years ago, I was approached by a colleague who was starting a new educational nonprofit. She was passionate. The vision was beautiful. She needed investors and partners, and I felt so moved by what she described that I committed a significant sum within a week of our first conversation. I did not do the night of choosing. I told myself I did not need to because this was a charitable cause. It was good work. Surely that was enough. It was not enough. Within 18 months, the organization had collapsed due to internal mismanagement. My money was gone, and worse than the money, the relationship with my colleague was damaged. We had words I still regret. And I had to look at myself honestly and ask, why did I not pause? The answer was uncomfortable. I had not paused because I wanted to feel like the kind of person who moved quickly and boldly on good things. I wanted the identity of being generous and decisive. I was not making a financial decision. I was making an identity decision, and I paid for it. This is the deeper layer of the night of choosing. It is not just about evaluating the purchase. It is about evaluating yourself. Who are you in this moment? Are you acting from your values? From your carefully considered priorities? From your covenant with your family's future? Or are you acting from ego, from appearance, from the desire to feel a certain way? Torah does not just teach us how to handle money. Torah teaches us how to handle ourselves. And the person who can sit quietly the night before a major purchase and honestly examine their own motives, that person is rare. And that person builds wealth that lasts. I have watched this principle work again and again across decades of counseling families in my community. I know a woman, I will call her Sarah, who wanted desperately to buy a vacation property. She and her husband had found a beautiful place. The price was right. The timing seemed perfect. But she practiced the night of choosing. She wrote everything down. She asked the 3 questions, and in the morning, sitting quietly, she felt not peace, but a low, persistent unease that she could not explain. She waited. She said no to the property. 3 months later, the developer of that community filed for bankruptcy. Dozens of buyers who had already closed were left in a legal nightmare that took years to untangle. She did not feel clever about it. She told me she simply felt grateful. She said, "Miriam, I did not know anything was wrong. I just knew I was not at peace. And I had learned to trust that." That is the practice. That is what it produces in you over time. A relationship with your own inner knowing that becomes one of the most valuable financial tools you will ever own. Let me be clear about something. This is not a practice that asks you to be afraid of spending. It is not a practice of scarcity thinking. The Torah is full of blessing, full of abundance, full of the expectation that the righteous will prosper. In Deuteronomy 8:18, God says directly, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." The ability to produce wealth is a gift, but gifts require stewardship, and stewardship requires exactly the kind of pause this practice teaches. The families I have seen prosper generationally, truly prosper, not just have money for one season, but build something that holds across decades and across children and grandchildren. Those families have one thing in common that goes beyond income or education or opportunity. They make financial decisions slowly. They honor the pause. They treat every major purchase as something worthy of reflection, prayer, and quiet discernment. Money is not just currency, it is responsibility, and you cannot steward a responsibility you have not fully considered. So here is what I want you to take from today. The next time you are standing in front of a major purchase, whether it is a vehicle, a property, an investment, a business commitment, a large debt, I want you to practice the night of choosing. Do not decide that day. Go home. Write down the full financial picture. Ask the 3 questions. Sleep. Sit quietly in the morning. Listen. If you do not know how to sit quietly, practice it tonight with something small. Sit for 10 minutes with no phone, no television, no sound. Just you and your own thoughts. You will be amazed what you hear when you stop filling the silence. And I want to tell you something with absolute certainty because I have seen it too many times to doubt. The major purchases you will regret in your life are almost always the ones you made in haste, and the ones you will be most grateful for, the ones that genuinely built your life, are almost always the ones you took your time with, slept on, prayed over, allowed to settle. This is the Torah principle. This is the ancient wisdom. This is what Jewish families have passed down quietly for generations, and now you have it. Before I close today, I want you to do something. Go to the comments right now and type, "I accept my wealth." Write it. Say it out loud as you type it, because when you declare something, when you speak it and write it and mean it, it becomes a commitment between you and your future your future is listening. If this teaching meant something to you, I would ask you to do a few things. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. I teach from Torah and from 40 years of watching real families build and lose and rebuild wealth. There is more wisdom here, and I do not want you to miss any of it. Hit the like button. It tells me this kind of teaching is what you need more of, and it helps other people who need to hear it find this channel. Share this video with one person in your life. You know someone right now who is about to make a big financial decision. Someone who is excited and moving fast and not pausing. Send this to them. You might be the person who saves them from a decision they will spend years recovering from. And if you have a story of your own, a time you paused and were protected, or a time you did not pause and paid for it, tell me in the comments. This community is built on real wisdom from real lives. Your story matters. There is a teaching from the Talmud in Tractate Sanhedrin that says, "Whoever saves a single soul, it is as if they saved an entire world." I believe that about financial wisdom too. One teaching at the right moment, passed to the right person, can redirect the course of an entire family for generations. The God who gave Abraham his covenant, who sustained Joseph through every season of hardship, who blessed Ruth in her faithfulness, that same God sees your financial life right now. He is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to be wise, to pause, to listen, to choose with discernment rather than impulse. Trust the pause, honor the night, and watch what clarity brings you in the morning.